Over the last century and a half, 32 men have put on the gold shield and led the Columbia Police Department. Questions, controversy, and even convictions have plagued the top cop.
Over 3 decades, Chief Lyle Campbell created a force that would rival any in the country, implementing training standards, community police efforts, and continuing education for officers. All this amidst the changes in the country through the 1950s and 60s. But within 10 years of his departure, controversy had once again made its way to the police chief's office. In 1978, William Cawthon stepped down after allegations of wrongdoing by officers came to light. The city then decided to cast a nationwide search for the best of the best to lead the department.
So they went outside and went to somewhere up in next to Chicago and got this guy, Arthur Hess, which nobody knew about.
Arthur Hess, who had 19 years of police service under his belt, was seen as the savior to clean up the department's tarnished reputation. It was, however, just 2 short years later when that top cop was in the headlines, and not for stopping crime. Former Columbia Police Detective Jake Knotts was an investigator for the solicitor's office when he became aware that Hess may be involved in criminal activity. Nightclub owner Joel Hendricks told Knotts that Hess had interesting hoops to jump through in order to obtain a liquor license in the city.
He was going to assess him on his liquor license in the different bars and stuff like that, and he felt like he was trying to bribe him.
But the relationship between Hess and Hendricks may have gone a little deeper.
Hess was taking bribes.
You see, it turned out that Hendricks was paying the chief to tip him off before a raid on his gambling establishments. Hess was set up by investigators who caught him taking money from Hendricks, and he's charged criminally.
It wasn't very long that he was going to have to serve in time with good behavior. He probably served maybe 2.5 months. Well, that, I think, was too much for him.
And here's where the story gets even more complex. So Hess, who's married, and his girlfriend, who's married, come up with a plan.
So they park their vehicle, pour some type of animal blood in the car to make it appear as if they had been killed. And of course, it didn't work that well.
Obviously, Hess wasn't dead. In fact, when he was ultimately caught, he was found at the happiest place on earth by an off-duty cop from South Carolina.
He was visiting down in Disneyland, and there's Arthur Hess walking around Disneyland, and they arrested him and brought him back.
The very much alive Hess was returned to the state where he served his sentence.
It's something that Hollywood would probably do, not a chief of police.
So the city, once again with something of a black eye, decided to look internally for its next leader.
Chief Austin had been the assistant. He became the chief and was there for 10 years and did an outstanding job with that.
After Chief Austin's tenure, the next permanent chief named was Dean Crisp in 2004.
Dean Crisp was a very honorable, decent, very good police chief.
Crisp was popular with his officers because he gave them an ear, forming advisory groups to help shape the future of the department internally. But in the end, the Gold Shield again acted more like a target than a symbol of justice for Chief Crisp.
It's known as CPD's cheating scandal.
A new self-training system was implemented based on the honor system.
And it found out that this officer happened to have the test open when another officer walked in.
Interestingly, it was the chief's quick response in letting some 20 officers go that raised eyebrows and didn't sit well. And soon after, he was in the headlines again.
With a triple homicide that makes national news and invites people into a crime scene that shouldn't have been there.
But that wasn't the only time that Crisp had non-police personnel at a crime scene.
I think going to a crime scene with his son, which I never thought that was any type of scandal.
Crisp and the city ultimately decided to part ways, which would set the stage for the shortest chief's tenure in department history. Tomorrow we take a look at Harold Reeves, Randy Scott, and the interim chief hoping to stop the revolving door. Tyler Ryan, WACH Fox News.